Hi, I'm Sid, and I make mistakes so that you don't have to.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I like movies.
We went to a drive-in with... It's been there, like, since before COVID, right?
It has been there since before COVID.
Yeah, and so, like... It was pretty nice. The setup wasn't, like, rinky-dinky or anything.
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was accustomed to doing drive-ins. Like,
yeah.
I saw...
They had experienced staff.
Last time I went...
They were, like, teenagers. Like, they always are at a movie theater.
Oh, yeah, I didn't...
No, because I went to the bathroom, and they were, like, all teenagers, and they were, like, showing each other memes. It was actually kind of cute, like, but, like...
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
I mean, yeah, they've seen, like, Tenet how many times now? Like, I'm always commenting on that with the movie people. It's, like... They must be so bored of movies, because they just see them I don't know how many times, you know what I mean?
I've had a couple of friends work in movie theaters and you just talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
It just sucks.
It's gonna destroy movies. Like,
that's the thing, like, they start watching a movie and then halfway through and then they have to go work to something, they watch it in bits and pieces.
Exactly, and then maybe they missed the thing that everyone was really hyped about, or, like, you know... If they go to try to rewatch it, they get completely disengaged, because it's just like, I've seen so much of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so weird. Like, I bet some people watching it didn't see the part where Batman comes out in Tenet. I was just like, oh, Batman's a part of this? I was like, what?
You mean Robert Pattinson?
Oh, wait, I mean, no. I mean, yeah, he puts on the Batman suit, and he's like, I'm about to rob Bat and Bat and Bat and Bat.
I think that he's actually just extremely British in this.
No, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's just playing his true self in this, honestly. Like, because I got the vibe from him, like, it was good acting, but I did get the vibe from him that he was just, like, playing, like, himself from what I've seen in interviews, but I'm not a huge fan of him. Last time I saw him in an interview, I think I was in, like, literally, like, 5th grade when he was doing, like, Twilight, so, like...
the best of movies.
Don't listen to me.
But overall, the driving experience was interesting.
Oh my god, it was great. It was really, really fun.
It was nice to see a movie outside of your house.
Oh my god, on the big screen again, yeah. And there were absolutely no problems with the radio, and you have a really cool stereo system in your car.
Yeah, it's
interesting. If you have a stereo system in your car, I don't know why you're not at a drive-in right now. Why are you watching YouTube? Don't click out of my video.
It's interesting how they do drive-ins, of course. They have the big screen, and you listen to the sound through the radio of your own vehicle.
Yeah.
And I had my car all decked out. And although the one thing I will say, since there's a whole bunch of light, it's not like seeing in the movie theater quality. Like, I compared it to watching a movie with goggles on through a fog.
We should have cleaned your car. That was our mistake.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how important that was.
Hi guys, I'm Sid, and I make mistakes so that you don't have to. Clean your car.
And I don't like to help with the mistakes.
Brian is around when I make mistakes.
I was one of them. No.
No.
But yeah, it was cool. It was interesting. It was unfortunate that sometimes during certain scenes, you'd have to mess with the sound itself. For example, the sound would either be too blown out for some action scenes or too low for dialogue scenes.
Yeah.
So
if they were like whispering, we would have to turn it up, and then like a big action scene would come in, and
the car would shake.
And then the tiny cat that we had with us would be like.
Yeah, which is an awesome part of the drive-in though. Unlike other movie theaters, it's okay to sneak food in. So
yes, and also we were not the only ones that had like an animal in our car.
There was a car next to us that had a dog.
Yeah, there were other people with their pet. Bring your pet to the drive-in,
especially if you find it that night.
Especially if you find it that night.
But yeah, it was a cool. The cat was fine. It was a kitten. It's a 2-month-old kitten. She seemed to be doing okay.
He's good.
Yeah, but the whole experience of the driver was nice. It was a cool experience. I bought a whole bunch of food. Bought some water, soda to be drinking.
I think that we had Cheetos.
We had
a mess of Cheetos, like a ton of Cheetos.
We had the normally acquired 2-ton bag of Cheetos. The movie was cool. I do wish, like, it's also difficult because we came in a little bit late to find the proper angle to watch the film. There's a whole bunch of cars there already lined up, and even if you had like the whole layout of the parking lot all to yourself, it's difficult to find the perfect angle when it's not like numbered. It was just essentially a big parking lot, and
And there were
"You
little
figure it out."
bumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, figure it out. Yeah.
I didn't even know if those bumps were purposeful for the
They
movie.
were.
Yeah.
Everyone had the bumps. But, like, you know what? I do have a comment about the drive-in experience. It's just, like, there are so many people that have never been to a drive-in ever. So, like, the amount of people that just turned on their headlights and started leaving in the middle with their headlights on.
I forgot about that.
Like, oh my god, that was fucking... Don't do that. Like, if you're gonna leave, can you leave? If you're done doing whatever you were doing at the movie and you're gonna leave, can you leave with your headlights off?
Yeah, and it's not like they turn on lights or turn off lights during the film. Like, the lights that you park in are gonna be on for the entire time, which is one of my points. Like,
you don't need your headlights.
The
That's the purpose.
The backlit of the film was kind of crappy. It was really... It wasn't bright enough.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't give you that same, like, crisp image that you would get at the theater. Even though I'm pretty sure at the theater it's also just a projection, right?
Yeah,
like,
but
the difference is literally the lighting.
The brightness around it. Yeah. But so when one asshole would just turn on their lights and it'd be aimed at the movie screen, it just couldn't see what was going on.
Like, literally one corner of the screen just gone. Like, just gone. Like,
that was absolutely annoying. But besides that, it was a good time to get out, good movie to see, although I personally recommend.
Very safe way to get out too, if you don't, and everyone's required to leave with a mask. There's I don't think it's called commissions, commissary?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, they have a little snack stand and they also have bathrooms, but in order to go over there, you have to use a mask. So I'd say it's pretty safe.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, bring a water bottle that you can pee in and you should be fine.
The bathroom was fine. Like, I went in the bathroom and it was, like, pretty clean, actually.
Alright, but definitely bring your own food. It's like, why wouldn't you?
I mean, yeah, some people do like to just go to theaters and get the stuff they have there, like.
Yeah,
because some people
too
swear
also.
There's something about the popcorn or there's something about the pretzels they have, or, like, you know, and.
I feel like sometimes I want to spend $50 on a small bag of popcorn. I'm just in that mood.
You know. Sometimes I let other people spend $50 on a small bag of popcorn, and I eat it.
That's when I'm broke. But, yeah, overall, like, I would personally recommend, if you're going to go to the drive-in to watch a movie that you've already seen several times. Like, for example, I know this month, since it's October,
they're going to have, like, a ton of Halloween movies.
I've already heard they're doing Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Whoa.
You haven't seen Ghostbusters?
No, I said, ooh, what a classic.
But yeah, like certain films that you've already seen and you're just excited to see certain scenes. Besides that, the film itself was great. It was honestly awesome. It's Christopher Nolan trying out another genre of film, a spy / James Bond, and it's amazing.
Oh my god, yeah.
It was so good. The action was...
The way that they managed to, like, make the special effects in every action scene very, like, pronounced, but not, like, taking over the scene. Like, there was still, like, choreography going on in the action scenes. That was so cool to me. No, come back, Tenet. Yay! The amount of detail and care and love that went into those scenes really made it, like, it made it the movie, you know what I mean? Like, that was the whole movie, in my opinion. Like, I haven't seen a better action movie. And I don't usually like Christopher Nolan's, like, action-y scenes.
I mean...
They confuse me, but these were very clear. Like, you know...
I don't know. Some parts were extremely confusing. But I felt...
The plot was confusing.
The plot was confusing?
There's a certain point where you're just supposed to get it, though,
yeah.
You know? And you get it or you don't. Like...
And they do this awesome balancing where the script, when it can't take care of the action, like, it can't explain everything, it lets the action do it. Like, it's very... I don't know, I really feel like it's like the script and this concept ideas of like the script and action kind of dancing with each other and trusting each other, and then just this beautiful scenes where they mess with time, because I've always loved how Christopher Nolan does action. Like the other day we saw Inception, and his action scenes there is like a action or ballet with the space around him, or the space that the action scenes are taking place. And here it's a ballet with time, the concept of time, it moving forwards and moving backwards, and it is absolutely a sight to behold. Like, it's unfortunate that we can't watch this in IMAX. I love Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, they're so good.
You're like his personal hype man.
I mean, like when I watched Dunkirk, I was like, I don't get it. But it's not your fault, Christopher Nolan. I'm just dumb. I've never felt that way about a movie. I'll be like, this dude's being pretentious. But no, Christopher Nolan, I was like, I don't get it. That is dope, and I respect it.
I do really like his like style, and I do like what he takes with different genres, and he like just goes with them. And I love Inception, and not Inception. Interstellar. They both start with N. Yeah, I love Interstellar. Yeah, I really like what he did with like the black hole in that movie. It was really fun.
Yeah. It's really beautiful scenes.
Yeah.
And in this one, the main protagonist, of course, goes and does his spy thing, and he does a great job. Like, I honestly felt like I was just watching a James Bond movie. And
it was like, I loved the way that the protagonist just like sort of he's like the James Bond character, but like very like deadpan. Like the way that he's funny is like so great. Like I was cracking up like over and over again. I just loved his delivery of the lines. You know what I mean? It was really great.
Like,
he brought a certain energy to it that I really, really enjoyed.
Yeah, like there's a scene that comes up in the trailer where the protagonist is speaking to another character, and the other character asks him how does he want to die, and he tells him from an old age.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
he's just so blunt and straight up, and I always appreciate that in people. And I love seeing a character that's like supposed to be that like badass like character, and he's actually just like pretty chill deadpan guy. Like, you know, I love that. That is an energy, you know? It's really strong. It's potent.
Absolutely.
Potent.
Yeah. So one of the things that it gets a little bit confusing, since it is like an over complex theme, to say time distortion. How they explain it is interesting. First, they kind of do yada 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 over it. They're just like, you're just doing it backwards.
They're just like, yeah, that's how it's gonna work.
And then it's not.
It makes sense because that's how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
You're just supposed to suspend your
disbelief.
Your disbelief for a second. But then they do go over it a lot better when they introduce other characters, and they explain it in a lot more precise way.
This is true.
But what is unfortunate, since we saw in the drive-in experience, even though we loved it, like we spoke about all the problems earlier about drive-ins, it made certain things kind of confusing. Like certain scenes that had the time distortion was kind of confusing to understand, and it wasn't until honestly we looked it up later that we understood what the name pertains to, Tenet. We thought it was to a plot device.
Yeah.
But then it seemed to be about something else, and that was a bit confusing. Like, I didn't even get that. There was also the fact that the main character doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
And we didn't know.
Yeah, because like they do introduce him as like several different names throughout the movie as he like gets different like identifications.
Yeah, because of course it's a spy movie.
Yeah, and like, but yeah, I think that we're just supposed to assume because it's a spy movie, he's like Agent X. Like we don't know his name,
which is really
which is
cool.
dope.
Yeah.
I love it, but like it. Yeah, by the time it's relevant that you realize that you don't know his name, it's like a weird plot device by then, you know? Because it's just like, what? Like, it was very just like, I'm the main character. Like, I'm the protagonist. I'm the main character. Like, it was really, really, it was funny. It was very, I read it initially as like a fourth wall break. But like I don't know if they intended it that way.
To be a meme.
Yeah, like but I could very easily see it become a meme, and that's part of the reason I'm like, is this fair? Are they meme baiting? It was a little bit late to meme bait, like, you know, in the movie. I'm not gonna lie, like it was a little late in the movie that they did that for it to be like becoming a meme.
But it's so funny. We busted out laughing. Like,
oh my
god,
one of the great
things
it was really great.
Theater, oh
my god, yeah, that's one of the best things. It's just like you can, like, we talked about the movie the whole time we were there because we could. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, you could never do that in a theater. I think the only time I've done that, like, my friend and I went to go see, like, Hunger Games, the first one. Like, on the last week it was going to be in the theaters and no one was there, and we snuck in a ton of stuff from the Dollar Tree.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, we just, like, talked the whole time. There was no one else in the theater because the hype was so big for that movie that everybody that had gone to see it went to go see it, like, as soon as it came out. And last week, no one was seeing it.
Wait, where did you sit?
We sat, like, in the back.
That was you guys?
No.
What the hell?
There was no one in the movie. There was no one in the theaters. Like, yeah, that was fun.
That was fun. It does have, like, that idea of just watching a movie in your living room or watching a movie with as comfortable as you can get it. Like, I definitely put my seat all the way down.
Yeah.
At various points.
I regret not bringing blankets and stuff.
That's what messed up.
Yeah.
Because also the one thing that was bad about the drive-in is that we kind of had to lower our windows down and kind of open the sunroof because we had the windows up and it just fogged up the...
Yeah, but I would say that the cars were, like, far enough. They were at least 6 feet away from each other. They had laid it out in a specific way where, like, there was going to be social distancing. Mm-hmm. And I do appreciate that because it didn't feel like they were trying to, like, profit on us despite the health concern. It felt like they were very much, like, taking it into consideration.
Yeah, they're very clear on the rules that if it's too full, they'll just start not accepting anyone in.
Yep.
Like, it was limited capacity.
Yeah, that's what you were telling me, is we have to get there early because, like, it's limited capacity and, like, you can't buy the tickets beforehand. You have to buy them, like, at the box office from the person.
Correct. So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable. There is something else from the film that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Even after researching it, like the motivation of the villain, it just seems so cartoony.
His whole character was cartoony. Like, everything he did was so cartoony, and his downfall was cartoony.
It was just
we could all see it coming, you know, like. And that was around the point people started to leave, and I felt like that was probably why, because they were just like, this is what's gonna happen. Like, you know, and
it was James Bond, like, 90s and 80s cartoon.
And you're supposed to kind of know it by that point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because it's like a spy movie, you know what I mean? You're supposed to be, like, getting the same feeling as the people that are getting it, like, around in the, like, the characters that are starting to understand in the movie. You're supposed to, like, feel like one of those characters that's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? That's really weird. I'm suspicious of that guy. Like, or like, what's going on here? Like, this situation, blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to feel that, but, like, I feel like when people feel that, sometimes they get disengaged.
See, the problem with that is that I felt that way. I was like, oh, there's got to be something more. We're going to find out this other reason why the villain is doing this. And it's just like, no, he just wants to destroy the world.
No, but there was a certain point where, like, the character started to understand it, but he had no other motivations, and it was, like, supposed to be a slow build thing, I felt, but it wasn't, like, so well executed that I actually felt it as a slow build. I was just like, that guy's just evil.
Yeah, literally,
like,
I thought
and I don't want to put it on the writers. It wasn't the writers. It was the actor that played the... I love them. I love the cartoon evil. I love the cartoon evil, but, like, the way that he was cartoon evil, it just made it so obvious to me sooner rather than later that he was just cartoon evil. Like, you know?
I gotta disagree, because in the film where everything was serious and it was ultra realistic, and they had
a cartoon evil.
They had like I was talking about, these overcomplicated plot devices were explained very well, and when I could understand it, I was like, Christopher Nolan, I feel dumb again. Excuse me, but it's still dope, still cool.
Yeah.
Chrissy Nolan.
Yeah.
We're friends, so that's what we call each other.
I'm sure, yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, and then to have this antagonist just be like cartoonishly evil, that when they're talking about his motivations, I thought they were just going to turn to each other and be like, yeah, he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of, like, comedic breaks in that, I'll just leave it. Like, with the amount of comedic breaks in it, I, like... I would kind of expect it with that kind of like cartoony evil. Maybe we were just supposed to find the amount of cartoon evilly he was funny, but there was like some gruesome stuff that he was doing, especially like to his wife, like that I couldn't like look past to like I even like don't want to call him cartoon evil because of that, because like there were some very violent themes there.
It was like domestic
like,
abuse.
Yeah.
And it was really sad and unfortunate. Then even with the wife's motivation at certain points, I was confused by that. It was just like...
Me too.
You made up a valid point. Like, the wife's motivation is essentially that of revenge. But when there's other points coming out, like, when there are heavy stakes, and yet the wife just chooses to do her own selfish desires, I was like, why?
Yeah.
I had to look it up later and see why it all meant together. But regardless of the point,
what was the reason when you looked it up? Because my whole thing there was I felt it was like supposed to be a thing of like revenge and like a women empowerment thing of like you don't get to just like push me around like that because I'm your wife and like I'll end you for it type of thing. Like, you know, but more that's how I read it personally.
I read it as like backing a dog into a corner. They're just gonna find that the first opportunity they could get, they're gonna lash out, take advantage.
Yeah.
And with the wife's motivation, it seemed like it was just she felt that she had lost and just wanted the last piece of revenge.
She wanted to get the last laugh, you know?
Makes sense, but as I was saying, like with all of these interesting characters having a interesting motivation to do everything, to have these secondary characters, the main antagonist just having a cartoonish reason was just let down.
It was kind of. I would have wished that they had put so much love and care into each character, like especially because a lot of them ended up having like almost equal screen time. So like because of that, you want every character to be as fleshed out and developed as possible, because if it's not, it's gonna divert my attention to that character and away from the seriousness of your movie. It isn't a fun action movie, and if you want to see it as a fun action movie, that's great. Would you say that there's a lot to analyze there, except for like...
I feel like there's enough to analyze.
There's enough to like talk about film-wise. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
If you're looking into it just as watching a action film, you're gonna have a great time. There's gonna be some times that confuse you, but they're gonna immediately do something dope, and you're just gonna be like,
"That's awesome.
That's fine. Like, I don't care."
Yeah.
Like
so
they just went backwards in time, and then.
Whoa. Yeah. No. It's awesome, but it was really, really cool, and I feel like it's kind of like Christopher Nolan's thing to be kind of confusing and too smart for you. And I mean, if that's your brand, like, my thing is being too dumb. So, like, it doesn't really. That's my brand. So, like, Christopher Nolan and I, like, that's why I gotta bring Brian here, because, like, my brand's being dumb. Like.
And that's why I'm here.
That's why you're here.
Because it was a dumb mistake.
It wasn't a mistake. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and say no mistake on this movie. This was a good movie. Go and see this movie. Sure. Sydney approved. Like.
Yeah, I highly enjoyed it. As I was saying, there's other times where it's overcomplicated plots, but they got it over. But you could suspend your disbelief enough to go through it.
No, I think that the like special effects and like the way that the time warp works in it is like cool enough to kind of enjoy the plot for the action movie that it is. You know what I mean? And like, I love a good action movie, especially an action movie that at no point makes me like, because I have some problems with gore. So like, I love an action movie that doesn't like put me off or make me feel anxious after I watch it because of the amount of like ew that I saw. And Christopher Nolan does a great job of that.
Yeah, like that's his bread and butter. Like I had to look it up because I've always been confused why he kind of stays away from gore, and he's comfortable in this PG-13 element, and because it makes it more accessible, and I appreciate that. I understand that. For me, it's kind of off-putting because it's like I'd never understand like how his physics of guns work. Like it either especially in this movie, right? Yeah, because either one shot kills you, or it doesn't, and you're fine. I mean, you can like walk off a bullet. Except for the one character, everybody else is just like. This is true. And because of the like reverse bullets, it did make it kind of confusing about
who was shooting who, and
Yeah.
like things like that. Like that got confusion.
Yeah,
That made the confusion.
There's several
like,
scenes where some people are shooting regular bullets and other people are
Yeah.
shooting reverse bullets, and you're just like, what the fuck? But then when certain people,
your mind's just not meant to process time like that.
which is absolutely why I love
Yeah.
the idea of them going with time
And messing with it. It's so
essentially like both sets of times work parallel with each other.
fun. Yeah.
And it's,
Oh my god, that one scene. Okay, wait. Are we ready to start talking about spoilers?
before we do, I will say that there are certain scenes that have like that Doctor Who-esque.
Oh my god, yes. And it was so fun. Like, yes. I loved it.
Comical way of
And
using time.
That character, like, brought it. Robert Pattinson. Who is. I don't know his name.
Robert, what did you say? Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson and this guy. Whenever they were doing those kinds of, like.
The protagonist.
The protagonist. No, I meant the actor.
Yeah, I know.
Whatever,
even
the protagonist.
actor. He's
Okay,
the
the protagonist. Okay. But so Robert Pattinson and the protagonist, like whenever they were doing those scenes, I think they really brought it, you know, and like it really did have that like whimsical element about it, which I appreciated because like I didn't like that about Inception, how serious it was, you know what I mean? And there was no like breaks from that to be like, haha, we're kind of doing a fun thing here, guys. Like, you know what I mean? And like it was a serious movie, Inception, and I do enjoy it for what it was. I just hate the end.
No,
Like, you know.
I personally, I agree. I agree with you on the fact that the chemistry with all of the characters were amazing.
Yes.
The main protagonist,
Especially
and
between
Pattinson.
Yes. Especially their chemistry. Oh my god, there are some scenes where it's just like, let me tell you about my best friend.
It
Like,
was awesome.
you know.
And then the romantic subplot.
The chemical romance.
The chemical romance subplot, like where they just start jamming out, and I was just like,
Okay.
what? They went back in time and got the full band together.
I mean, but then Noah Cyrus came. You know that the tour got.
No idea. Just learned about chemical romance like when we first.
Let's move on.
But besides that, like as I was saying with the romantic subplot, like it was great. There was so much tension between them too.
Yes, and it was like very real. Like
it wasn't overhanded. It wasn't like, oh, now they'll kiss. It was just,
yeah, now kiss. No,
it was unnecessary.
It was very much like they've had a relationship for a while, and you can tell like they have that kind of dynamic back and forth.
I'm talking about the female character.
Yeah.
But they had just met like a quarter into the movie.
Yeah, but like you know that thing of just like they got on.
Oh,
like you know what I mean? It's like they were supposed to like their character now kiss like, but like not like in a weird like way when you're watching like a kids movie. It was more like those characters were like designed for each other, but not in such a heavy-handed writing way. The writers weren't just yelling at us; they're soulmates. Like
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like the writers were like making their characters compatible.
Yeah, and what I liked about this female character, because unlike a lot of spy films where the female character is just used as a advancing point, and even though she was kind of narratively used in that way, and she talks about it like, you just used me. It
was like very much addressed, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't just a tool for the protagonist to advance his objective.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I really liked it.
We're going to start talking about spoilers now, so if you wanted to see the movie on your own and not really know too much about the plot going in, then now would be the time to leave the video.
Excellent. Also,
oh yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, please.
First thing I want to talk about is the fucking Doctor Who fucking switcheroo. Just when the Doctor met his wife and he didn't know it was his wife, and then later in later seasons you're like, that's your wife. Oh my gosh, and they're all just hanging out. It gave me goosebumps because it turns out that the protagonist has been friends with Robert and Pattinson for years, and he's the one that actually enlisted him to help.
Yeah.
And just that little switcheroo and the way how the Robert and Pattinson tells him, like, we've known each other for years. Like, this is my ending of our friendship. but it's your beginning. So I'll see you later. And it's just fantastic because unfortunately he dies, and the way he dies is just like, there's a dead guy here. And if he did something, he went back in time and stopped the bullet for me and saved my life. I'm like, shit. And then you see a little trinket that's behind his backpack, and he sees it again. He's like, no, you're gonna die. And he's just like, don't worry, I know. And it turns out, and I had to look this up, that at the beginning of the film, there's something that I didn't quite understand the point of, like this huge terrorist plot, I think it was, that he tries to stop, and he's trying to protect the
intro scene.
The intro scene.
The really confusing intro
scene. It looked really cool.
It was so cool. Oh my god, yeah.
Everything was blowing up. They came into a music hall, but it was confusing on why, how the protagonist knew it was going to happen, and how he was escorting the spy, and even when he takes a cyanide pill, or he got shot by a reverse bullet or something. It was all confusing. But apparently there he was about to be killed, and some person comes in, shoots someone, and like just leaves. He just yeets out of there.
Love it.
And it turns out that was him, and they didn't even really need to explain that part for you, because it was just like, remember?
Yeah.
It was just cool. It was just cool. And we were talking about the chemistry when Robert's character, or Pattinson, of course, his character is so friendly with the protagonist and kind of joking around and has a chemistry with it. It's because he's been friends with him for years.
Yeah.
So there's a certain scene where he's just laying down and talking about the way the time dilation works, and he's just really comfortable in this world of spies and espionage where everyone has an ulterior motive, while the main protagonist is getting comfortable but is still worried about Robert Pattinson, because he fears like he knows too much of him. Like he knows too much of what's going on, and he's not telling him anything, and he's suspicious of him.
He's very suspicious of him throughout the film. And they have very good chemistry, I think that the writing of like him, like it's very subtly suspicious, you know, and he's very underhandedly suspicious. Like he'll say it directly to his face, but in a really underhanded, friendly way. You know what I mean? And it like, to non-sensitive ears, you could even be like, like they're just joking around with each other.
It's just a comical relief.
Yeah.
And that's what we thought it was. And we were just like, that dude's funny. I love him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sparkle in this movie, which is great.
We're going to start talking about spoilers now, so if you wanted to see the movie on your own and not really know too much about the plot going in, then now would be the time to leave the video.
Excellent.
Also, like, comment, and subscribe, please.
First thing I want to talk about is the fucking Doctor Who fucking switcheroo. Just when the Doctor met his wife, and he didn't know it was his wife, and then later in later seasons, you're like, that's your wife. Oh my gosh, and they're all just hanging out. It gave me goosebumps, because it turns out that the protagonist has been friends with Robert and Pattinson for years, and he's the one that actually enlisted him to help.
Yeah.
And just that little switcheroo, and the way how the Robert and Pattinson tells him, like, we've known each other for years. Like, this is my ending of our friendship, but it's your beginning. So I'll see you later. And it's just fantastic, because unfortunately he dies, and the way he dies is just like, there's a dead guy here. And if he did something, he went back in time and stopped the bullet for me and saved my life. I'm like, shit. And then you see a little trinket that's behind his backpack, and he sees it again. He's like, no, you're gonna die. And he's just like, don't worry, I know. And it turns out, and I had to look this up, that at the beginning of the film, there's something that I didn't quite understand the point of, like this huge terrorist plot, I think it was, that he tries to stop, and he's trying to protect the intro scene.
The really confusing intro scene.
It looked really cool.
It was so cool. Oh my god, yeah.
Everything was blowing up. They came into a music hall, but it was confusing on why, how the protagonist knew it was going to happen, and how he was escorting the spy, and even when he takes a cyanide pill, or he got shot by a reverse bullet or something. It was all confusing. But apparently there he was about to be killed, and some person comes in, shoots someone, and like just leaves. He just yeets out of there.
Love it. Like,
And it turns out that was him, and they didn't even really need to explain that part for you because it was just like.
I mean,
remember?
like, yeah.
It was just cool. It was just cool, and we were talking about the chemistry when Robert's character, or Pattinson, of course, his character is so friendly with the protagonist and kind of joking around, has a chemistry with it. It's because he's been friends with them for years.
Yeah.
So there's a certain scene where he's just laying down and talking about the way the time dilation works, and he's just really comfortable in this world of spies and espionage where everyone has an ulterior motive, while the main protagonist is getting comfortable but is still like worried about Robert Pattinson because he fears like he knows too much of him, like he knows too much of what's going on and he's not telling him anything, and he's suspicious of him.
He's very suspicious of him throughout the film, and they have very good chemistry. I think that the writing of like him, like it's very subtly suspicious, you know, and he's very underhandedly suspicious. Like he'll say it directly to his face, but in a really underhanded, friendly way. You know what I mean? And it like, to non-sensitive ears, you could even be like, ha, like they're just joking around with each other.
It's just a comical relief. Yeah, and that's what we thought it was, and we were just like, that dude's funny. I love him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't sparkle in this movie, which is great. Doesn't need a sequel.
No.
The story is clean cut, and there's a lot of questions that I had.
But that doesn't mean that it like deserves a reopening of the plot necessarily.
Or it needs. Maybe it deserves it, but it doesn't need it.
Oh, well, no, by deserves, I meant like the questions posed don't deserve a reopening of the plot.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with certain aspects, although I had questions like the main antagonist apparently has henchmen, and the main antagonist's point is that he's gonna destroy the world.
Yeah, that's like his goal.
When he dies, like, because he's gonna die. He wants.
If I die, then everyone has to die. So dramatic.
It's just like, okay, fuck off.
Okay, right. Lego, fucking Joker, like what? Like,
yeah,
I really felt Lego Joker in that other movie. Like he was a more fleshed out villain than this guy. Yeah. Like literally, like his motivations were like
he was just jealous.
Like Batman doesn't love me. Like. That's a more fleshed out villain than we saw in this movie. But like that is my one critique. Honestly, like
I didn't
everything
understand.
else was great.
I didn't understand his motivation. I didn't understand the henchmen. Like, why are they working for someone that's going to destroy the world? Like, who's paying them? Or
and like, wait, if you're getting paid, does it matter if the world's going to be over?
Yeah,
like the world. What are you going to do with your money? Like,
I understand the main. I mean, I don't understand the main antagonist's motivation to just destroy the world. But what about the henchmen? Like,
that makes no sense.
If my boss is gonna die, then he could kill the world, and I'm gonna die.
So it's
like, if there was a romantic subplot between the henchmen, I would have been like, oh, okay,
that makes sense.
That's cool.
Yeah, that makes sense because like now they're motivated by something other than just like their job.
Yeah,
like
it'd be like.
Would you like work a job where they're paying you probably like a little bit over minimum wage to destroy the world? Because like what are you gonna do with that money? Even if you're using it all right now, like it's just to barely make ends meet until you end the world.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, if there was like a romantic subplot with the henchman, he's like, that's why he treats his wife so shitty.
Because he loves us.
Because he loves us. He wants to be with all of us. That would have been way more. Polyamory. Between all 100 of his henchmen.
Oh my god, that would be something.
A partner for every day of the year.
We hate that.
But anyway, there was also the fight scenes when he fights himself. That was so
the
cool.
fight scenes. I love the scene in the hallway.
The
scene in the hallway was iconic.
There's several scenes they played twice, essentially. One as the protagonist fighting this mass enemy, and then that scene being revisited as the masked enemy being himself.
Yes.
And they do a really cool job because, of course, the actor can't be two places at once.
Yeah.
So one, of course, is someone else fighting him. But it's still entertaining to see. Is like as the first time you see
it's extremely well executed.
It's well executed. The choreography is amazing because a character will do a reverse backflip.
Yeah.
Back in time.
God.
Or like just.
And then the fight will like. pick up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And like it's so sick.
Like you'll see someone be thrown into a room because of an explosion, but the first time you see that, you just see the protagonist just going backwards.
Yeah, and then getting confused.
He like literally gets yeeted out.
Yeah.
As like Yoda yeeting out those 2 clone troopers.
Yes.
In episode 3, it was just. I just learned what yeet means. So.
Yeah, he just said yeet like 10 times, so I
just learned what that means. I just learned what no cap means too, and apparently that's 2 years old, so.
Congrats.
I'm learning.
So proud.
But those scenes were incredible.
They were really, really good.
And like I said, I just wish I understood more of the film, the beginning, the ending. We loved the ending as 2 separate teams were sent on a mission, and one was going backwards in time while the other one was going forwards.
Yeah, that was sick. And it was like they had to time it perfectly to get it to work. And the suspense of them having to time it perfectly, but being like, I want to say time zones, but not time zones, on 2 timelines, on 2 entirely different timelines. The suspense of, is that gonna work? You know, it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's because apparently tenet pertains to the organization, a secret organization that is fighting against the destruction of the world, and they're destroying the world by essentially making the whole world go backwards in time. Which,
well, I could see how that would mess with people, because like, remember in the beginning the protagonist needed to be taught how to get the feeling of like you're not shooting bullets, you're catching bullets and stuff like that. Like, he had to learn all of that.
Yeah, because
I could see how living in a world where things are going backwards could be dangerous.
But they even say it themselves, like, doing that would destroy the world. And will essentially, they don't say destroy the world, they will destroy the past.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end.
And yeah, go to the drive-in and go watch Tenet.